What happens when we lose peripheral vision? We build projects without building people. We miss creative solutions because we only value what is proven. We become reactive instead of responsive. You may solve surface level problems while missing deeper team dynamics or client pain points. You might ignore the emotional distance growing in a relationship because you're focused on tasks and timelines. If they don't, I ain't got time for that. If people don't want to go with me, they got to run with me. You know, we have things that we say. This is a very important relationship. There could be some key things. Maybe you're married, maybe you're a mother, maybe you're a sister or a brother. Things are happening, friendships, so many things could be happening in life with another person that you can miss it because you got your head down and you're not paying attention. Welcome, I'm Sybil Bull, your host for Faith Based Optimum Living, where we dive into transformative content on emotional wellness, purpose-driven living, and a meaningful life. This has been an exciting and informative season as we have been sharing on vision. And we are about to start another mini series in our theme for vision in this season of making sure that you're able to navigate, move forward, see clearly, and align your life with value. If you've missed the last episode or the last little mini series, we had some guests on, we were sharing, we introduced exactly where we're going to be and what we're doing in this new season, and we cannot wait to continue. So make sure you pause, sit down, get yourself together, whatever you have to do, or maybe you're driving, be safe. But I just want you to know it's going to be excellent today. We're actually going to start just another little mini series. That's something new that we're doing, where we're just going to talk about what it looks like to have peripheral wisdom. So that's just empowering yourself in your vision to look and to see things that you may be missing. And I can tell you this, it's been real personal for me because I have been here. We're going to look at peripheral vision. What are you missing? Peripheral vision. If you've ever driven, if you have a driver's license, whatever in life, you've had to take the time to go, like, you look forward, right? You got to focus on the cars coming, but then they teach you in driver's education, the trainer, always tells you, make sure you look to the side. You can almost sense like there's something beside you. You can feel it. That's the way peripheral vision is. But to see it clearly, you would have to literally turn towards what it feels like on the side of you and what you can see, but it's not clear. So today we want to talk about what are we missing as we talk about the peripheral wisdom. Expanding your field of view to recognize the overlooked ideas, people, and divine promptings. So this is going to be a very sensitive, like, inner space where you're looking to see, I didn't even know I missed that. I didn't even know that was happening. And we're just going to make sure that you're able to use these tools and the resources that we're sharing to get where you need to be. So again, life is more than what's right in front of us, right? Life is a lot more than what's in front of us. Even now, while I'm sitting here and I'm sharing with you, there's a lot of things that I can see from the side. There's a lot of things that I can sense that's going on, but I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on you that I'm speaking to. So life is always a lot more than what's right in front of you. And you want to make sure that you're aware of that. At times, it may seem like there are some significant opportunities that aren't directly in your line or sight, but they're kind of in the margins, right? You can, I feel like there's an opportunity coming, but it doesn't look like it's straight on. It doesn't look like it's exactly where you want it to be, but you can sense that something is happening because it's not in the direct line. This episode is for the leader who excels at staying focused. I'm a focused leader, but maybe missing key insights because they're not looking wide enough. It's for the builder, the visionary, the nurturer, the strategist, anyone who wants to lead well without becoming tunnel vision. I know what tunnel vision looks like, and I know that there are seasons and moments where we have them, but we're not talking about that today. We're actually talking about what it looks like when we have peripheral wisdom and we have the ability to see the margins and the things that are going on. When your field of vision is limited, You miss the quiet promptings of God, the overlooked voices in your circle, or the ideas you've dismissed because they weren't loud enough. Let's discuss sharpening your peripheral wisdom, the spiritual and strategic ability to see more than the obvious. Ooh, I just said a mouthful. I know. Let me give you a moment to think about all that. It's a lot. Peripheral wisdom is a lot, but it's so necessary when we're talking about wisdom. Here's your question. Have you been so focused on your goals that you've missed who or what God is trying to show you? Let's talk about what is peripheral vision and why it matters. Let's talk about what is peripheral vision and why does it matter? In nature, peripheral vision helps you to detect motion and sense what's happening outside your focus. In the spiritual and leadership space, peripheral wisdom helps you notice unspoken needs, catch emerging patterns, turn your ear towards God's whispers, not just the loud instructions that He's given. What happens when we lose peripheral vision? We build projects without building people. We miss creative solutions because we only value what is proven. We become reactive instead of responsive. Let me give you that again. What happens when we lose peripheral vision, right? We build projects without building people. We miss creative solutions because we only value what's proven. It's proven, and we stick to it and we don't move from it, right? And we become reactive instead of responsive. You may solve surface level problems while missing deeper team dynamics or client pain points. This is the kind of thing where you have to literally come out of tunnel vision and nobody's gonna stop me. I'm gonna keep moving forward. I got my head down. You got to get your head up. You got to get yourself right? So here's some example. You might ignore the emotional distance growing in a relationship because you're focused on tasks and timelines. If they don't, I ain't got time for that. If people don't want to go with me, they got to run with me. We have things that we say. This is a very important relationship. There could be some key things. Maybe you're married. Maybe you're a mother. Maybe you're a sister or a brother. Things are happening, friendships. So many things could be happening in life with another person that you can miss it because you got your head down and you're not paying attention to anyone else's thing or caring about it. And that could become challenging and cause problems that you're not always ready to talk about or to address because I'm just trying to get my stuff done. I'm just, I'm here. So when you're there, it could create some deeper dynamics. All right. When we're ignoring things, it could cause a problem because we're trying to reach our timelines and we want to get our tasks done. Mark 8:18 says, "Do you have eyes but fail to see and ears but fail to hear?" It says Jesus often confronted not just what people missed directly, but what they ignored indirectly. What might God be trying to show you that you've been unconsciously ignoring? I'm giggling because I think about how many hundreds of times God was trying to get my attention and I was unconsciously ignoring so many different things. I have years of experiences where I'll give you a small example. Like sometimes he's like, you are on the verge of burnout. And I would just be like, I gotta get it done. I'm being a towel. I gotta get it done. And then next thing I know, I'm sick. Right? Because now I have my immune system is down. I haven't been taking my vitamins, haven't been sleeping well. I've been burning the candles, as the old people say at both ends. I've been trying to make everything happen, doing everything, and now I'm burnt out. So I just been so focused and had tunnel vision that I've been missing the signs of my body aching, certain things happening, just ignoring those. And so that's just an example that I'm using for myself. But just think about your own example and what you could be doing, what you could unconsciously be ignoring that God has been trying to show you. What we tend to miss. Let's talk about what we tend to miss and why. People on the margins. There are some good people on the margins. Sometimes we miss the quiet person on your team with hidden brilliance. It's because there's that person. There's always that person that talks loud. They talk a lot. They have ideas. They share. Sometimes we miss the more reserved person. We could miss that person. We could also miss the friend who hasn't said they're struggling but needs support. They checking on you, but they're not saying anything at all about themselves. I have a girlfriend who checks in on me and I check in on her. And the other day when we were talking, I said, hey, what's going on? How you doing? And she said to me, no. I want to hear about you. What's going on with you? And that just let me know that when you are having peripheral vision and wisdom, then you don't miss those things, right? You're able to see that maybe this person needs support. Maybe they need a kind word. Maybe they need this. Maybe they need that. You could also be missing people in the margins, the community God called you to reach, but you overlook it because it doesn't match your brand. That's not my people. They're not in my brand, right? What else could you miss and why? Ideas you've dismissed. You could dismiss ideas for the business concept that keeps resurfacing, right? You could be like, why does it keep coming up? Why does it keep coming up? I don't want to do that. That's not my thing, and you could be just dismissing it and it keeps coming up. You could also dismiss the nudge to write, to speak, or serve in a new way. That's, again, we're talking about vision and what God wants to show you. Like, you just want to keep going in on this area, but I'm actually bringing a peripheral nudge into your space because I want you to start thinking about it. It's not always about that he wants you to do it right away. Sometimes he just wants you to think about it, look at it. And you could also be dismissing ideas because you want to avoid the shift, that it doesn't feel big enough, right? Because sometimes we are in the big thing. Great is big as if it doesn't imitate you. We go through all of this stuff in our head, and this just could be something simple. And so it's not big enough, so we could just dismiss it, but it could be impactful. And so we want to make sure that we're not doing that. How about the inner promptings from God, where there's repeated themes in prayer or scripture, where every time I go to pray, I'm praying about the same thing, or every time I read my word, I hear the same thing, or if I turn on my YouTube channel, I'm hearing the same thing. I go to church, I hear the same thing. I talk to somebody the same. So there's these promptings from God, right? And then one of my favorite that I have learned over the years, divine disruptions, situations that keep pulling your attention away from the main thing. This happened so much since 2020 has taken place that I was like, oh my gosh, 2020 was definitely like a divine disruption and other things. But since that moment in time, I've paid attention to divine disruptions. Why? Because I realized there's more happening and God wants to say something and he wants to show me. And I'm like, it took the attention away from the main thing being the main thing. And now when I'm finding that there's a disruption. Like, what is this? What is that? I know that God is divinely disrupting it because he's pulling my attention away. And I've sat with him. I have prayed. I've found myself thinking about things, optimizing small spaces, looking at what was efficient and effective. I was able to see a lot of peripheral things that I just overlooked, but the disruption brings it in, right? Another one could be unexplained restlessness or dissatisfaction. Most of us don't want to talk about that one, right? That's a thing that we think is an isolated case or scenario just to our lives or experience to our lives. But a lot of people have unexplained restlessness and dissatisfaction. And that's coming from the inner promptings that we're ignoring God. And he's like, oh, you feeling like you feeling? I'm going to make sure you feel dissatisfied, right? All of a sudden, the thing that you love, you're like, I don't want to do that as much. I'm not sure what's going on. And so he's like, these are promptings from God. Why we miss them? We overemphasize on productivity and deadlines. I raise my hand. Productivity and deadlines. Oh my gosh, just trying to get the next thing and got all the stuff all nicely, you blocked out on your calendar and you schedule things in, and you're just you're overemphasizing on productivity and deadlines. So you miss all the other things that are good in your life. You miss the opportunities. You could miss the people, right? Then there's a discomfort with the unfamiliar. That's the other part that we don't always like to address or admit. I feel uncomfortable. It's unfamiliar. I have numbers for this. I have proven records for this. I have already people for this. And that makes me feel uncomfortable to step into the unfamiliar. Another is the bias toward what seems important or impressive. This is not important or impressive. Sometimes we have unspoken categories of things, and we have to pay attention to that. Proverbs 4:25 says, "Let your eyes look straight ahead, fix your gaze directly before you." And this verse is just simply speaking about focus, but it doesn't cancel awareness. We need to be focused, but we need to be aware. I'll say that again. We need to be focused, but we need to be aware. When we're aware, it calls us to be in the direction of moving forward in the direction we're supposed to, but also discerning what's around us. So we're going to have what God calls us to be, both in the direction and the discernment. So we're moving in the direction we're supposed to, right? I'm in my car moving in the direction, right? I'm in the vision of my life moving in the direction, but I also need to have discernment. Have you ignored a person, a pattern, or a prompting simply because it didn't fit the plan? I can tell you that I have a yes to these things. Yes, I have ignored people, patterns, and promptings. Yes, I have. I definitely have been guilty of that. How to rebuild peripheral wisdom. How do you rebuild it? How do you do this? Give me the answer. I got you. I got you. Don't worry about that. I got you. But before I move into this part of the episode, I want to make sure that you subscribe. I want to make sure you share, turn on your notification, okay? I want to make sure that you stay with us on this journey and that you don't miss anything for your optimum living. So let's get into this. How do you rebuild peripheral wisdom? First and foremost, you have to build in the margin. You have to build in the margin. In your schedule, leave room to notice things. Leave room to notice things. In the episode before this, I was sharing how sometimes I'm in the quiet, because in the quiet, it helps me to see things, notice things, even hear the promptings of God, right? In your spirit, don't overfill your day with noise. Leave space for whispers. I don't even always play music or have the television on or YouTube or whatever, just a whole lot of noise, or talk to people all day on my phone. Sometimes I'm working. I like to have deep thoughts, and then I like to have quiet so I can hear. And the joy of this peripheral wisdom place is that I have been able to revise some things, edit some things, delete some things, see some areas that I really missed, and implement some things. So I just want to encourage you that it really, really does work, and you have to apply what I'm sharing for you to get the result. Another thing that you could do to rebuild your peripheral wisdom is listen actively. Don't just listen to just say that you was listening. Ask your team or your loved ones, is there anything I've been missing, right? Ask questions. Make sure that you're hearing them and then respond back that way. Don't just look for the loudest voices. Pay attention to the quiet ones. Being a mom that was raising 7 children that are also close, they call them stair steps because most of them were either a year apart or 15 or 16 months apart. I had to pay attention to the ones that were quiet. I had a few that were quiet. Yeah, I mean, in the bunch, I had a few that were quiet. Not that they weren't like, ha, ha, with their, with their siblings, but I had a few who were a little bit more quiet, and I had to pay attention to those individual children just to make sure that I was giving them attention. And sometimes in the circle and in my community, I noticed that as well. There are quiet people. And sometimes I've been the quiet person and been overlooked. So, you want to make sure that you're not just looking at the loudest voices, the person is chatting the most or saying the most or telling you the most or acting like they're the most with you. Sometimes you want to pay attention to the quiet person to say, hey, what are you thinking? Especially if you're a leader in different communities. And then here's one, practice holy curiosity. I'm a very curious person by nature, so this falls right easy for me. When you're practicing that, it's easy to just ask God one prayer, just in your prayer or just talking to him. Who or what am I not seeing clearly? Who or what am I not seeing clearly? That's just a question to ask and you'll get an answer. Here's another one in your holy curiosity. Sit with that question and then you just journal it. Like, what am I missing, God? What truth am I not seeing? What have I been so consumed with? What's on your heart? Like, all of those things I ask. I never always ask, but I started to ask because I realized that I didn't have peripheral wisdom. I was so consumed with my own stuff. And then audit your own focus, right? Review your to-do list or calendar and ask, does this reflect only what I want to do or what God is inviting me into? There are two different things. And I used to have a lot of things that I just wanted to do. I just wanted to do. Y'all, I had this big poster board of things that I wanted, places I wanted to go and all this other stuff. And a few years ago, I started practicing where I will present that to God. And I know people make vision boards and all of those things. And I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about making sure that all the things that we want to do, we present it back to God and make sure that we also hear the things that He wants to do, right? Because that's very important. Am I really prioritizing? Here's another thing on your focus: efficiency over intimacy with people and with God. So I want to be efficient, right? But I don't have any intimate conversations, or I don't have intimate relationships with anyone, not even with God. So we have to make sure that we are not just prioritizing efficiency, getting it done the way I'm getting it done. This is the best thing to do, making sure that there is intimacy, because without that, it also makes us feel empty. It makes us feel like we're just doing in life. So this is getting us into a place where we're not missing some of the important parts because we're so focused that we're not discerning. Here's another one for you. Broaden your inputs. Read or listen to things outside your typical circle. That really does make a difference. Talk to someone who doesn't think like you. I love those kind of conversations. I'm like, wow, that's different. I wouldn't have seen it that way. Another one is to explore unfamiliar territory with intention. So doing things that you wouldn't normally do, going places, talking to people, all of this helps us to broaden our inputs, which means that I'm actually getting a lot more out of this. It's the kind of thing where people are like, I always go this way. This is the way I go. And it's like, but you can get there like 5 different ways. And have you ever gotten into a car with someone who doesn't explore unfamiliar territory? And I'm just making this like relatable in a way of driving. When they're in the car with you and they're on the passenger space and you're not going the exact direction that they go or they take, they're like, why are you going? Why are you turning there? They're questioning everything. That's because they don't explore unfamiliar territory with intention. They're more interested in staying focused on the one way that they know. And that's not good, because you miss other opportunity. You miss other points of turning or strategies. This is, I never thought to do it this way, right? And so you can see so much more if you open yourself to that. Isaiah 30:21 says, whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. Peripheral wisdom is about learning to hear even when it's not the direction you are facing. It's the kind of moment where you are so focused on what you're doing, and then you hear God's voice, you hear the voice of wisdom saying, you shouldn't do that right now. This is not the timing for you to do that. You should wait for another 6 months and just stay focused on this assignment or this project, or just finish this out. Take this to the best level that you can. Optimize this. Like, you'll hear that kind of voice. And that's how you know you're becoming more and more sensitive in that peripheral wisdom, where you're like, when someone says, well, I thought you were going to do that. And you're like, no, I took some time. I took a moment to see the margins, to discern some things. I had to really assess some things. And that's what's important when we're talking about peripheral wisdom, right? Some of us don't do that. We just keep moving, and then we hit a brick wall, and then we're like, how did I get here? That's because we have to be in the direction, but also be discerning. We have to take moments and say, am I missing something? What am I missing? Because we will miss something. We will. I have. And you will too. And it's okay. It's okay. We have the strategy. We have the insight. I give you some tools and what to do and an answer of how to do it so that whenever it happens again, you know exactly what to do, the questions to ask and how to get out of that space and how to develop your wisdom in the space called peripheral vision. Listen, you can be incredibly focused and still be missing something. You can be incredibly, when people are admiring you as a focus. Has anyone just admired you as a focused person and you felt like, I don't feel like that, right? Because you know you're missing something vital. You could still be that person who's focused and still miss something vital. I didn't even see that. I didn't see that coming, right? Peripheral vision is not a distraction. It's discernment. It's discernment. I'm actually in this season of my life in a lot of peripheral vision right now. I kept saying, why didn't I see that before? Like, I feel like every week I wake up and God is showing me something else, or I'm doing, and it's just like these small things. And I'm like, how did I didn't see it? And now it's the discernment, right? Because I'm rebuilding that. So again, peripheral vision is not a distraction, it's discernment. When you pause to look beyond your task or your timelines, you'll find focus that God is speaking to you about. And it's subtle, it's not loud, right? And it's also not spectacular. It's not the thing that's going to make you like text your best friend and be like, you all believe what God told me, or you're not going to jump on a live and start sharing it. Sometimes it's just really small things. Like for me, go to bed, get 8 hours of sleep. The reason that you're not focused and you're feeling off for the last 6 months is because you keep thinking you need to stay up and get all this stuff done, right? And so changing that, I like the way I feel when I got some sleep and how I can think, and I'm getting more done because I'm not tired and pushing through. Those are the things that you get, and it's small and it's quiet and it's not over the top, but it's not big. I definitely wouldn't be telling the whole world, hey, this is what I got, but it did make a difference in my life. And that's what peripheral vision looks like. It's me even finding people that I didn't even think I would want to use and using them and putting them on my team, or that person I call randomly because God said I should, and they give me an answer to something. We're just having a conversation and they give me an answer or share a resource or a tool with me. It's just those beautiful moments. Here's your challenge for the week. Ask God, who or what have I overlooked? Just that simple. God. You can open your eyes, you can close your eyes, right? God, what have I overlooked? Who have I overlooked? And then here's another challenge. Reach out to someone who came to your mind during this episode. Who have I not connected with because I've been so focused? Think about that one person. If they came to your mind, reach out to them and pay attention to the moments of interruption. They may be invitations. Pay attention to the moments of interruptions. They may be invitations. And if you're not discerning, then you'll get frustrated and not see it as an invitation. We're here, y'all. We hung out one more time. I'm so glad. If this episode opened your eyes, if it just opened your eyes to something new, then I did my part, right? Come on, let's share it out with someone who's leading, someone who's building, someone who needs to hear this, maybe somebody who just nurtures people, takes care of people. I'm not talking about a parent only, because there's a lot of caregivers, people who nurture a lot of people. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Download, I got this for you, a Peripheral Wisdom Reflection Guide. And it just has some prayer prompts, a little journaling exercise, just to help you expand your view so that you can keep moving in this wisdom of both going in the direction you're supposed to, but also discerning. Thank you for joining me on Optimum Living. I'm Sybil Bull, helping you to grow, live fully, and unlock the life you were created to enjoy. Until the next time, stay focused, stay grounded, stay grateful, and keep reaching for the life that God has shown you. And remember, you are designed to live an optimum life. I'll see you next time. I cannot wait.